Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here. Hello. How are you all doing? Hope you're all doing well. So Monday evening. Don't worry, guys. I know it's the start of the week, but we will get through it. Welcome to the Snowflake Viewpoint, episode 102. Now we cover stories from the UK. We've got 6 different stories to cover tonight. I've got 2 from The Guardian, 1 from the iPaper, 1 from The Times, and 2 pieces, 1 from Open Democracy, an interesting one, and also 1 from Byline Times here. I also have 2 funny videos in the interval as well. And the date and time of this live stream, just for reference for those who are watching it later on, is the 2nd of June 2025 at 8 PM, well, 8:02 PM UK time, just for reference there. And we are dual streaming live on youtube.com/ReganElite and on twitch.tv/ReganElite1. I need to have my water next to me. I had to make a mad dash to the water. As you guys know, I started a little bit late. Do apologise for that. I had 1 or 2 things I needed to deal with before I could start the show here. So, Martin, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. And anybody else who are lurking in the chats. Let's get straight right into it, guys, with the very first story. Obviously, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, was making a speech today on defence. So Keir Starmer has vowed to make Britons battle ready as he unveils defence spending plans. The Prime Minister promises to spend billions more on weapon factories, drones and submarines, but refuses to set a date for spending 3% of GDP on defence. Now, first and foremost, as far as the target goes for a set date on 3% of GDP, he can't make that assumption, and neither he should be, because quite frankly, we don't know whether... we know if the mic is okay as well. We don't know where the economy will be at that time. We don't know how we're going to be, like how much funding and whatnot. And I think it's right that the government doesn't make the promise of saying, "Oh, by this time we will definitely be at 3%." I think they should try to. Sorry, one of my stickies are falling off. I think they should try to at least try to see if they can make it by the end of this parliament at least. To try to. Maybe that'd be a bit of pushing it, but they need to try and push for that defense in terms of defense spending. Now, is defense more important, in my opinion, than the cost of living crisis right now? I think it's highly debatable, because what good is having a defense when you have people that are literally starving in this country, like that in the UK as a whole. Like, just, I mean, child poverty for itself speaks volumes, isn't it? So that's off on that. But obviously, we read this morning on the Good Morning. If you didn't see on the Good Morning show, obviously the more submarines are going to be built, and if we can see here, more weapons factories, drones as well. Like, again, this all sounds very nice. It's all nice, yeah, for the military, all nice for GDP for this. But this has come at the let's not forget, a lot of this has come at the expense of foreign aid, which was cut to increase defence spending as well, which I still think is an absolute disgrace. Because we should be helping people and not locking our walls and doors away from people. It's not something that I think is right for us to do so. Good evening, Joe. Hope you are doing well. And yes, and anybody else who are looking in either chats as well. So let's have a listen to see what the Prime Minister has had to say on this all. If it'll play. Will it play? Right. Should do. Oh. Ah! Hold on a second. I'm just gonna... I forgot... Damn adverts. Luckily for you guys, I've got mute. Nah, there we go. God damn it, adverts. I hate adverts, don't you guys?
Moving to warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces. When we are being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready.
Do those people look... I don't know how confident those people behind him are of the Prime Minister there. Doesn't feel very, very confident, do they?
And frankly, to show them that we're ready. To deliver peace through strength. Every part of society, every citizen of this country has a role to play. Because we have to recognise that things have changed. In the world of today, the front line, if you like, is here. The threat we now face is more serious, more immediate, and more unpredictable than at any time since the Cold War.
Let's be clear here, yeah. Britain, if we get attacked, it's an attack on NATO. The question is it if would NATO, as long as we are in NATO, we should be okay, right? Here's the thing, like, I mean, are we preparing to be? Are we preparing for the reality that we might not be there? Good evening, Dave McGinnis. Hope you are doing well, buddy. Yeah, sorry I couldn't attend your shows today. I had too much content to do today, so I do apologise. I will watch back. I'll watch it back. I'll watch back your show later on this evening before I go to bed, my friend. So I do apologise. I just couldn't attend, I'm afraid.
We face war in Europe, new nuclear risks, daily cyber attacks, growing Russian aggression in our waters, menacing our skies. Their reckless actions driving up the cost of living here at home, creating economic pain and hitting working people the hardest. A new era in the threats that we face demands a new era for defence and security. We will innovate and accelerate innovation at a wartime pace, so we can meet the threats of today and of tomorrow as the fastest innovator in NATO.
I mean, that's all well and good, but we just don't have the army for it. I mean, we literally looked at it one of the Good Morning and one of the headlines from one of the Good Morning shows. Like, there's literally like there's no British army. Like the numbers are crumbling, and they said it's going to take years before to recoup the numbers. So it's like, if you want, like I've already said, if they generally want to get more people to join the army, incentivize. Get advertisements out there. Get paid pay some adverts, paying not just in the papers, on the media, in advertisements. Just start a recruitment drive. Like that's how you get a recruitment drive, and offer great perks to join the army. Offer perks and benefits that you won't get in a normal 9-to-5 job, that you wouldn't get on some of the lowest paid jobs. Like really good money. You got to offer really good money, really good incentives, and really great benefits to join the army. That's how you get more people on. You've got to put the hand in your pocket if you want to get more people to join the army. I've already said that. Battle ready, Keir Starmer has promised to make Britain as he unveils a defence review designed to counter threats from countries such as Russia, which he warned directly threaten the UK every day. Now, again, the only thing I can see Russia threatening us is from cyber hacks and cyber attacks right now. Like, I don't think about physical threats. There is obviously there has been a concern, obviously, that Russia may try to sabotage cable lines, internet lines under the sea. We know that is a possible threat as well. That's why we need to be ready for any of that kind of stuff as well. Putin is mad enough to attack, especially if he gets desperate. I do think. I just don't, at the moment, right now, do I see the United Kingdom being attacked by Russia? No. Is it possible it could happen in the future? Yes. But I just feel like right now, like even though right now our position right now, we're outside the European Union, we're still part of Europe, we're still with a close bond with the rest of the European nations. And I just feel like collectively, like I just don't see Russia going after us. And I just feel like this money, all this talk and this bigging up of money, I just feel like it could go elsewhere. Like, don't get me wrong, defense is important, but I just feel like the money should be going elsewhere. Good evening, Simon says 55. Hope you're doing well. So, speaking from BAE Systems Shipbuilding, Govan in Glasgow, Prime Minister promised to spend billions more on weapon factories, drones, and submarines, even if it meant raiding welfare or the aid budget once more to do so. Do you just want to throw more people out on the street? Like that's literally what we're doing here. Oh yeah, let's kill a couple more people across the world by cutting the aid budget. Yeah, because that's definitely what will fix things. Amid the ongoing row over how the government will fund Starmer's ambition to spend 3% on gross domestic product and defence in the next Parliament, the Prime Minister argued defence had to be prioritised above other public services. I disagree. Does not need to be that high. The Defence Review is a blueprint to make Britain safer and stronger. Battle-ready, armour-clad nation with the strongest alliances and the most advanced capabilities, Starmer has said. He added that Russia is already menacing our skies and our waters. We're threatening cyber attack. This is a real threat that we're dealing with. Prime Minister has promised to spend 2.5% of the country's economic output on defence by 2027-2028, with a further ambition to spend 3% on some points during the next Parliament. Luke Pollard, the Armed Forces Minister, said the strategic review was the first time since the end of the Cold War that the government have reviewed the military and not made any cuts. Warships, jets and tank numbers will remain unchanged. The 140-page review, published late on Monday afternoon, said Britain faces multiple direct threats to its own security for the first time since the end of the Cold War, and that to deter conflict in the UK must be ready to fight and win. While the reviewers welcome that Britain is to lift spending to 2.5% of GDP, they said the reversal of the hollowing out of the armed forces would take about 10 years on the current budget forecast. 10 years. Yeah, I don't think we've got 10 years. As we live in such turbulent times, it's necessary to go faster, the team added. The target size of British armies will be increased from 73,000 to 76,000 in the next Parliament as funding becomes available, the Defence Secretary John Henley told MPs. But the immediate priority was to reverse falls in personal numbers, with the total number of soldiers dropping to a low of 70,860. It commits the UK to exploring the possibility of UK reintroducing air-launched nuclear weapons by discussing with the US and NATO the possibility of purchasing F-35A fighters equipped with US B-61-12 bombs that could be deployed in the event of a war. We should not be relying on the US for that. Spending £15 billion to develop new submarine-launched nuclear warheads, and committing to build 12 nuclear-powered AUKUS attack submarines in Derby and Barrow starting in the 2030s there. Yeah, because that's just what we need. More nuclear power, guys. More nuclear weapons. That will definitely protect us. Investing $1 billion in air defense and missile defense, $6 billion on munitions during the Parliament, and opening at least 6 new weapons factories in the UK as part of a programme to increase military stockpiles, which currently may only last a few days in the crisis. Developing a home guard modelling on the Army Reserves to ensure the protection of airports, communication sites and other parts of the critical national infrastructure in the event of a major crisis. Starmer said that he would not put a firm date on when the UK would increase defence spending to GDP, or exactly how the extra money would be found. We know where he wants to get the money from. No, guys, not the rich. I am not the Prime Minister of the Labour government. I'm going to make a commitment to precise date until I can be sure precisely where the money is coming from and how we can make good on that commitment. Because I don't believe in performing fantasy politics and certainly not defence and security, Starmer told BBC Radio 4 Today programme. Pressed again on the date, he said, committed 2.5, blah, 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 blah. We've heard all that already. Gabriel Rabdudes, a director of policy at Bond, which lobbies on behalf of A Group, said, it's disappointing that the Prime Minister has failed to rule out further cuts to the UK aid budget to fund further defence spending. Diplomacy and deployment are not completely competing priorities. They are part of the same triangle. Yep. The Defence Review will say Britain must be ready to fight war in Europe or the Atlantic, although it's not expected to promise immediate increases in the size of the armed forces to deal with the threat. Questioned on whether this could involve, for example, British troops being sent to defend attacks on countries adjoining Russia, Starmer replied, I very much hope not, and in order to make sure that isn't the same case, we need to be prepared, but we cannot ignore the threat that Russia poses. We have to be ready. Yeah, I just, like, personally, guys, I understand defense is important, but for me, it's like, that is not the priority right now. If you were to ask the majority of the British public, they know what the priority is. The main priority is the cost of living crisis. We have people who need to get out, who are in poverty or low incomes or struggling to get by, and they just need a bit of a helping hand. And right now, like, all this talk of defense is just very, very annoying to me, because it's like, this is not the be all and end all. Like, we are part of NATO. It's not like we're not part of NATO. We're not part of Europe. We're on our own. We're vulnerable. We're a neutral stance. Like, we're not in a position where Ukraine is. Like, it's just not necessary for me. It's just not. I just think it's just well over the top. The amount of money we're spending on defence, and it just infuriates me that we're cutting our foreign aid budget when that really should be well looked after, because it makes a difference. It keeps things dealt with away from us, helping the poorest in society, while also helping avoid conflicts as well. Good evening, Vicky. Hope you're doing well, and anybody else lurking in the chats. An interesting exclusive also dropped from The Guardian as well, guys. So reports have cast doubt on Labour's ability to hit the affordable housing target. I've got to say, guys, I don't think really this is an exclusive. We kind of knew. Was they really going to hit 1.5 million homes by the end of this Parliament? I don't think really any of us really believed it, did we? The Chancellor urged to increase funding. A study suggests government has overestimated its house building figures for England. Well, the thing is it's not just that. You have to remember they're relying on the private sector to help them as well. And if we know anything about the private sector, what's their number one priority? Is making the money. And it's not going to be building the kind of homes that we want. It's going to be the kind of homes that they want. Nice, good homes for them. The ones that cost like more than £1 million, which you'll never earn in your lifetime. Money that will simply be out of our range for some of us. That's literally, can I see a lot of social housing, council housing, the types of homes that people need? No. I generally cannot see it, because I generally believe the priority of what they will do everything they can to try and hit this target. And it will be at the expense of people who desperately need the houses. I think Max said it right. He's worried about us going down the same direction as Ireland, and that is building loads and loads of houses, but the houses are unaffordable, and that is a great worry. I really hope we don't go down that road. I generally do hope that there are houses that are built that are affordable for us. But also in terms of that, it's all well and good talking about building new homes. We need to do something about the homes that are already banged up. A lot of homes which some people who are living in are in worse conditions than pets are living in, for crying out loud. In pets in the goddamn zoo, with a lot of damp, mold, and whatnot. That really needs sorting. We need to make sure, we need to be pushing the drive for installation on our homes. We need to be incentivizing and encouraging more people to tap into green energy as well. That will help keep people's bills down as well. There's lots of innovations and ideas that we need to be doing to help people when it comes to being able to afford their homes and being able to cost for their homes too. So the exclusive says that the Chancellor has urged to increase funding. A study suggests that England has overestimated house building figures for England. This is specifically England for reference here. So Rachel Reeves is under renewed pressure to spend billions more on affordable housing after an industry report suggested the government had significantly underestimated how many new homes will be built over the next few years. The Chancellor is being urged by figures inside and outside the government to spend heavily on affordable housing at this month's spending review, as a report by one of the country's biggest property consultancies cast doubt on the official forecast. I think it's the Wednesday, the 11th of June. So it's next week, I believe. Next week Wednesday is supposed to be the month's spending review. So will be. I don't know whether I'm going to cover it live or not. I may do. If it's straight after Prime Minister's questions, then I'll cover it. But I'm not 100% sure if I'll cover it or not, to be fair. The findings from Swathes suggested that the government is further away from hitting its target of building 1.5 million homes than previously admitted. Its findings are likely to aid the arguments of Angela Rayner, the Housing Secretary, who is at loggerheads with Reeves over how much her department should be given to build affordable new homes. Yeah, she's under pressure, obviously, to build the homes, and they need to be built. Kate Henderson, the Chief Executive of National Housing Federation, the NHF, which commissions the report, said, "This analysis shows that reaching the OBR's Office for Budget Responsibility forecasts, let alone the government's targets, will require a generational boost to investment to social and affordable housing." Chris Buckle, the residency research director at Swathes, added that heroic rates of growth forecast by the OBR will not be achieved without further action from the government to support demand, particular support for housing association and an ambition to new grant funding program. One government source said the funding for affordable homes was proving a sticking point in negotiations over June's spending review, with Rayner pushing for Reeves to spend much more heavily on it than previous governments did. The Housing Department is one of several still battling with the Treasury days before the spending review, with the Chancellor facing fraught negotiations with some of her most high-profile cabinet colleagues. They include Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, who's fighting to protect home installation funding, and Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, who wants to ring-fence the police budget. The OBR has declined to comment. Yeah, all these things need to be protected, guys. They all need to be protected. The installation funding is, like I just said, like I literally just mentioned the installation funding. That needs to stay. That needs to say, like, if we want to drive people's bills down, we need to incentivize and keep the installation funding going. We need that. Like, if we're serious about like knocking bills down the road, we need to do more of that. Billy Kershaw, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. And I do believe we need to, and I agree with Yvette Cooper that we need to ring fence the police budget as well. Like, just break the physical rules already. Like Okay, if we increase the borrowing, it's not the end of the world. Honestly, it's not the end of the world if we increase the borrowing. Honestly, like, let's deal with people's Let's deal with people's problems. Let's make sure that the cabinets have what the sufficient money they need. We should put our hands in our pockets. Yes, if we have to borrow a little bit more, borrow a little bit more. I think it is necessary. I think it's necessary. If we're not going to tax the rich, we need to get money from somewhere. And I just don't think cutting it from energy or from police or whatnot, I just don't think that's the right answer. I really, really don't. Martin, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships, my friend. Thank you for your support. You've gifted 5 memberships to Wee Bird, Craig, finally, Terry Regan, Juicy Gaming, and Andrea Simons there have all been gifted memberships. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The OBR has declined to comment on the matter. Yeah, they're not gonna say anything, and they shouldn't do either. So this Guardian graphic sources from Swathes. It's noted that England's only forecast based on Swathes analysis here. So the government is further away from hitting its house building target than previous forecasts. Forecast net additional dwellings versus government target of 1.5 million by the end of Parliament. So they have the 2030 forecast there. You've got the UK OBR forecast. And then you have England's only. So they're forecasting 422,000 by 2030. 2029 forecast, a year Parliament ends, 491 forecasts there in England only. And the UK OBR forecast is shortfall forecast there. Labour's vow to build 1.5 million homes over the course of the Parliament has been central to its promise on economic growth and tackling the cost of living crisis. Hitting the target would require 300,000 net new additional homes to housing supply every year of the Parliament, a level that has never been hit before. I don't really have a lot of hope on that many a year. Livestream, good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Ministers argued that they will be able to stimulate a housing boom by making changes to the planning system, making it far easier for private developers to invest in new schemes. The deregulation is causing concern among some green groups that say natural habitats are likely to be damaged by the push for more housing, with many builders failing to fulfill their environmental commitments. I do think that there is a balance that can be struck here. There does need to be a balance need to be struck. Natural habitats, of course, need to be protected. I really do think that's important, but I do think that balance needs to be struck here. Yes, the homes need to be built, but there are some green spaces which are not affecting natural habitats, which aren't putting species at risk, where we can move the wildlife from there if they're not an endangered species, or if they're circumstances where we can move them to another location where they won't be too harmed. I do think that is a general discussion that should be made. I want to make this clear. I'm not somebody that's advocating for destruction of lots of green land, but if it should only be necessary that we should go after green belts and green areas, only after all the brown belts have been taken. It should only be the case there. Ministers, however, say planning reforms are essential and have been bolstered by official forecasts from the OBR, which say they are likely to be 1.3 million net new homes built over the 5 years to March 2030. Reeves welcomed that forecast in March, saying it showed that the government was within touching distance of hitting the target. However, the findings from Swathes suggest ministers are much further from the targets than Reeves suggested. First, the report says the 1.3 million forecast applies to the whole of the UK, while the government's targets applies only to England. It also highlights the fact that the OBR's forecast is for a period until March 2030, nearly a year after the latest possible date for the next election. Taken together, the report estimates that the government is actually on track to oversee the building of 1 million new homes by the end of the Parliament, only 2/3 of the way to the target. In addition, Swathes found that the OBR had relied on the historically high estimates of private house building to create its forecast. In 2030, for example, the forecast said there are likely to be just over 1.2 million private home sales, of which 160,000 will be newly built properties. And this is where the question is, like, it's all well and good building the homes, but can we afford to live in the homes? That's the real question. This would be far in excess of historical trends, given that transaction volumes through the 2010s were closer to 1 million. and that sales of new build properties rarely exceeded 10% of the total number of transactions. If overall sales and sales of new properties remain closer to recent trends, it would mean that only 100,000 new houses going on sale every year, less than 2/3 of the OBR's forecasts. The OBR's forecasts also rely on affordable house building rising in line with the private market, despite the fact that the numbers of new affordable homes being started has collapsed recently, down 35% in England in 2024 and 90% in London. The report comes amid a standoff between Reeves and Rayner over how much to spend on affordable housing until the end of Parliament, with less than 2 weeks ago until the Chancellor announces the parliamentary spending limits for the next 3 years. Officials said 2 cabinet ministers have yet to reach an agreement on the housing budget. At the March budget, Reeves announced an extra £2 billion for the government affordable homes programme for the 2026-2027, but Rayner is understood to be arguing for more, saying the extra money was built at a time of down payment on the government's housing commitments. She argues that the 1.5 million target will be missed without much higher levels of support. The NHF has calculated that to meet housing needs, the government must build 90,000 new socially rented homes a year. If entirely publicly funded, which if entirely public funded would cost the government £11.5 billion a year. Yeah, can we not tax the rich here to pay that cost, or borrow a little bit more for it? Jow says trying to get the private sector to solve a housing crisis only cause problems here. Reasons why they are now considering state and local projects to boost affordable housing. Yeah, I have a feeling that the UK will be faced with the same problem. Yeah, this is my concern. Is you're relying too much on the private sector. You think just getting rid of red tape helps. May help private investors. But at the end of the day, when it comes to them building homes and relying on private companies and private investors, they want a recoup. They want their money back from that investment. So where is that investment going to come? It's going to come. They're going to obviously extortionate the price, to sell it to extortion the price so that they can get money back for it. But is everyone going to be able to afford that house? The Federation is also urging Reeves to guarantee that social rents should go up by 1% point above inflation for the next 10 years, doubling the length of time the government has proposed. This would help buttonus the finances of the country's housing association, 11 of which recently wrote to the Housing Minister Matthew Pennycook, warning of the worst housing situation in living memory. Henderson said this certainty of income is vital for housing associations to unlock the private investment needed to build new affordable homes and deliver growth jobs and improve living standards. But this is the thing. Are we going to get the kind of homes that we want? I'm very skeptical of that. I mean, obviously, I'd like us to be like the 1.5 million homes. My initial reaction, I think, is I don't think, I agree with them. I don't think we'll hit the 1.5 million target. However, I do think we will hit a million. I do think we could hit the million. I think that's the target they can hit. Whether it be 1.2, 1.3 will be questionable. But the question is, what kind of homes are going to be built between now and the end of Parliament? That is the question we need to know. And right now, my gut feeling is saying is that we're relying too much on the private sector to do it. And if we're relying too much on the private sector to build it, they're going to build the kind of homes that we don't want. The good news is though that they have to build solar panels with them. That's the one good grace we have it here. Jow says they're reviewing the old schemes of building houses on local levels that are transferred to the city halls, and then they rent it at a low price to people or sell them. Jow also says it's very expensive. This is Portugal, just for reference, people. That is the issue. The state has to invest now and collect the benefits much later. Rented or sold houses at a low price takes longer to be paid in the budget. Interesting. So yeah, you have to be patient in Portugal. Have to be patient, which kind of ties into the next story actually here with regards to heat pumps. So this is exclusive from the iPaper. Heat pumps rollout is under threat if the government cuts 7,500 boiler upgrade scheme. So the government has not yet confirmed the funding for the boiler upgrade scheme and broader Warren's home plan next year. So literally, we were already talking about the installation funding that could be at risk here. Now we're also talking about the heat pumps rollout as well. So we could have quite a concern on our hands with this spending review. So the rollout of heat pumps will slow down and could cost the government more if funding is cut at the spending review next week, industry experts have warned. Grants of 7,500 are currently available for households that want to replace their gas boiler with a heat pump, which is considered more environmentally friendly because it runs on electricity. But funding for the boiler upgrade scheme expires next year. with future budget dependence on the Treasury Committee more money at the spending review on the 11th of June. The government has promised to unveil a warm homes plan in the coming months, with details on how to promote the uptake of heat pumps and other forms of green household energy, as well as helping people insulate their homes better to save on power. Now, Labour has pledged a total budget of $13.2 billion, half of which is due to be new funding, but that is now in doubt. Large and small firms involved in the manufacturing and installation of heat pumps urge the Department of Energy Secretary Net Zero, their DESNC, led by Ed Miliband, to keep his promises. Ministers have said in due course, in large majority of houses should be equipped with heat pumps. And have also committed to decarbonising the electricity grid by 2030, in a bid to slash the amount of CO2 emissions caused by home heating in the UK. Pamela Brown of Adira, a Swedish company dubbed the Spotify of heat pumps because it runs a subscription model, said the state support was absolutely critical to encouraging the uptake, and praised the UK policies as the best of any market the firm works in. She told the iPaper, quote, "It is important for our business to have plans like the Warm Homes Plan. I believe it is, number one, a boiler upgrade scheme is a strong motivator for people to make the switch. The financial incentives really help." Emma Bolton, who runs a small installation firm in Derbyshire called IMS Heat Pumps, said, "The current support provided by the boiler upgrade scheme has been one of the most successful schemes the government has launched in support of delivering heat pumps, and have funded 49,000 since its launch." That's very good. To even consider that might be part of swindling cuts that they need to make under this funding commitment would have a massive impact on me and other installers. She added, the consumers on the ground need to understand that the government believes this. Otherwise, you create space for the climate change deniers and the fossil fuel industry to maintain that grip, which weakens our energy security and stop growth happening in what is clearly a really exciting and initiated sector. And this is a great point she's added there. This plays into the hands of the climate deniers as well, which is very concerning indeed. You guys talking about something else there? Yeah, I mean, it's just we need to hold off the climate deniers. When we know that the Conservatives are turning that direction, because we've seen it with Kemi Badenoch. I mean, whether or not I don't know if Robert Jenrick is against net zero as well. I would hope he's not, if he does end up becoming the next Conservative leader, because we know Kemi's on borrowed time. It's just a question of when. I'd like to think that those in the Conservatives are not all climate skeptics, and that they're just literally following towing the line at the moment. I mean, we know Kemi's just been thrown tons and tons of money to become a climate denier. I just hope that's not the case with a lot of Conservatives as well, because right now the only parties that are really behind going green is the Labour Party, the Green Party, and the Lib Dems are Lib Dems as well, and possibly some the SNP, of course, in Scotland. But yeah, I'm generally concerned that we will not just have reform because of the rise of reform, but also because of where the Conservatives are going at the moment as well with that. So another industry source said the government seems to be taking the inevitable short-term discussions to try and scrimp a few pennies. So Richard Warden of Trudeau-based company Kensia said the investment decisions were all about certainty, and warned that you need to get a scale to push costs down significantly. And if you reduce investment, you are not necessarily going to get that scale, and you will not save money, in the long term. This is the problem here. Is, this government talked about wanting to get bills down. And at the moment, bills are not going down. We need to push these bills down, especially when water bills gone up significantly. Council tax has been a right pain in the backside for a lot of people as well. The bills are really high, and yes, I'm sure a lot of people got pay increases thanks to the increase in minimum wage, but it's not enough for a lot of people. It's just not. So under pressure from Labour MPs and anti-poverty campaigners, ministers are prepared to bring back the winter fuel payments for more pensioners. Jess Ruskell of the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit said that by contrast, the Warm Homes Plan has already been scaled back, adding, it feels quite short-sighted for the government to be cutting parts of their manifesto pledge, while bringing back things like the winter fuel payment and warm homes discount, which they are just sticking plasters. So a DESNC spokesperson said the energy shock of recent years has shown the urgency you need to upgrade Britain's homes. Through our Warm Home Plan, up to 300,000 households will benefit from upgrades this year, such as installation, double glazing, solar heat pumps, making them cheaper and cleaner to run. Yeah, that's the standard response from. That's the standard response you hear from them. But whether they will commit to it is another question there. But it's another scheme that is no doubt under threat from the Chancellor. And she will be under pressure for sure. The state will always have to begin at lost investment in better technology to make it economically viable to the private sector. I don't like it either, but that's the reality we have, says Jow there. Yeah. I said the government's got to put its hand in its pocket. Government has to put its hand in its pocket. You can't rely on the private sector to do these things. You just can't. Government's got to put its hand in its pockets, and if people's bills don't go down, they're going to vote them out. Like, regardless of other things going on in the world, if people's bills are continuously going up and their wages are not rising in tune, then people are not gonna vote Labour. When the EU began to invest in bioproduction and food and other products, it was subsidising it. Now I buy bioproducts because they are cheaper, since most people prefer them to normal products. And if they're cheaper, again, it makes sense to do so, Joe. Yeah, it makes sense to do so if they're cheaper. That is for sure. So, guys, going to take a little break here. We've still got 3 more stories to cover here. I haven't covered. Apparently, I don't know how, but somehow I missed this funny video a few weeks ago. This one. So I hope you guys enjoy this funny one here. It's another pet peeves with Rachel Reeves, and I'm sure Nerdine Skinner will be ready once the next statement from the Chancellor comes along. But yeah, some of you might have heard this one already, but I haven't heard this, so let's have a listen to this one. Pet peeves with Rachel Reeves on pensions and trampolines.
Hello, and welcome to Pet Peeves with Rachel Reeves. This week, I'm mainly peeved with people saying that I and I are a lot. It's not something that I do, and I don't think that it's fair, because actually there's no evidence to suggest that. So umming and ahhing can go in the peeve bin. I'm also peeved with people moaning about their pension funds. Don't worry, I can fix it. I will be dimming the sun. This will stop people from having the temptation to go away, putting money back into your pocket. You also can't afford to go away because of the £22 billion black hole left by the Tories. So stick your sun where the sun doesn't shine. Ha! Finally, I'm peeved with trampolines. You can go up and down like the economy, and it's triggering for me because I always fall through the springs when I pike. Trampolines could go in the peeve bin. Goodbye.
Oh, that... I actually compared the trampolines to the UK economy. Oh, that was very good, very good. Nerdine Skinner comedy, guys, on YouTube. Do check out her work, of course, please do. Oh, God, we needed a bit of laughter, to be fair. Oh, just a reminder, on Wednesday, guys, if you have access to Rumble, I've got to be videos dropping every day on Rumble, Monday to Friday, but there's one video in particular that I would really encourage you guys to check out. And I tweeted about it. It is one of the hardest and most difficult videos I've ever recorded. It was an article piece from Middle Eastern Eye about the manufacturing of famine by Israel on Gaza. It will come out on Wednesday at 12 after 12. I believe 12 o'clock. I believe it'll drop on Rumble. I might put a post up for it as well here on YouTube. I will recommend checking it out because I know it will be extremely brutal to listen to, and you can tell by my language and how I talk about it how difficult it was for me to talk about. It's about 20 minutes long, but you need to hear it. You need to hear it because of just how horrible things are right now in Gaza. So I will put out a post when it comes available on Rumble. If you can check it out, please do. I can't put it up on YouTube because it's an exclusive to Rumble, guys. I just can't do that. But I do recommend checking it out. I will put a post to it. But if you haven't followed the Rumble page, there is a link to that down below as well. Also, as well, if you guys want to financially support me and leave any super chats to support the Democratic Penguins Republic, Pingu here, of course, wants to say anybody who can support the Democratic Penguin Republic and McDonald's Island from Trump's tariffs, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you're a member, you get custom emojis of Pingu and the gang behind me as well. So just a reminder of that as well. What the hell is Rumble? It's basically like YouTube, but it's more right. It's more of a right wing. It's more right wing social networking than anything. Cause there's a lot of far right, content creators there. But luckily, I don't really get too many. I don't get that many comments, or getting almost no comments, to be fair, because I have less than 100 followers on there anyway. But if you want to check out content, specifically on Rumble, I do content with regards to Gaza and the Middle East. So if that kind of content intrigues you and you want to hear more from my viewpoints and that, do check out that link there. So let's move on to the next story, guys. One that everyone just cannot shut up about. Well, that's the reality. Is this is the one that everyone wants to talk about. Sorry, the British media want to talk about. Sorry, Nigel Farage wants us talking about 24/7, and that is migration. So this is from the Times. Up to 50,000 migrants could cross the channel this year. Nearly 50,000 people have arrived in small boats so far in 2025. Analysis by the Times suggests another 35,000 could be coming. I'm gonna be blunt. I would not be surprised if we hit this target. It is excessive, and yes, we are almost at 15,000 numbers already. And literally on the weekend we had 1,200 people. I don't think it's an exaggeration. We are at the halfway point of the year, and it's possible that there's still quite a few months between a couple of months now. We've got a lot of hot weather, sunny weather. So this is unfortunately the next few months is where they're going to make the most of the opportunity to cross to the UK. And there doesn't really seem to be anything stopping them. And we know what the solution is. I've said it. Max has said it. All Schultz has said it. Daily Blase has said it. Big Madge has said it. Zoe Gardner has said it. Hell, Dave McGuinness has said it. Who else has said it? Even Van Man Talks when he was doing YouTube. Political X has said it. All the YouTubers are saying it. But for some reason, people on the mainstream do not want to talk about it. Safe and legal routes. It's the easiest and the obvious solution to this crisis. Set up safe and legal routes for people to come to the UK, and you kill this business in one swoop. But we don't want to do that, because they want this to be a talking point. The media want this to be a talking point. They want people to get riled up about this, because rather than complain about the cost of living crisis, rather than complain about their own issues, they want to blame their problems, all their problems, on somebody crossing on a boat trying to make a better life for themselves. That's the problem. That's the frustration. That's why I did a community post as well this morning, because I wanted to get some people's thoughts with regards to this as well. So thank you to those who have voted on that as well. So, Britain is on course for up to 50,000 migrant crossing this year. According to new analysis, after daily arrivals topped 1,000 for the first time this year, and a row broke out with the French. Home Office figures reveal that 1,195 migrants arrived in 19 boats on Saturday, the highest daily so far this year, and the fourth highest figure. The French prevented a further 10 boats from entering the waters, according to UK government sources. However, the French rescued only 184 migrants from the Channel on Saturday, despite agreeing in February to amend laws to allow police to intercept boats in shallow waters. Let me just put something out there. I really want to stress here. Okay, now, so I've seen one or two other videos where some people have justified saying that the French cannot intervene while they're getting on the boats, and I have to put this out there, guys. I fundamentally disagree with this perspective that French police cannot stop them should not stop them getting on the boats and going out into sea, and it puts them, the French police, at risk. No, I cannot see that happening. I don't see them being put at risk. How are they put at risk? Yeah, they're literally going down there. All they have to do, the French police, is literally go down there and literally stick a knife into the boat, and that's it. Boom, they can't cross over. That's literally all they need to do. And then they can't get on that boat and they cannot cross. Like, explain to me how French police are put at risk there. Like, I'm sorry, I don't accept the premise that the French police who see them on the shores of a boat appearing and seeing them standing there waiting for the boat. I can't, like, in my mind, see the French police at threat or their lives under threat or whatnot. I can see them, like, you just go down there and basically you stand there with them and saying, like, if you guys need to disperse, and when the boat arrives, then they'll just stick a knife in the boat and that's it. The boat's dead. You can't go back to your camps. Like, what's so hard for the French to do that? Like, see, that's a like, for me, I don't see the French police at risk here in terms of health and safety. Now, if they're out in the water, that's a different story, obviously. But on the beach, like, I do have an issue with it because we are paying them to stop them crossing, and I don't see any reason why the French police are in any way, shape, or form are at any sort of risk of simply going onto that beach and literally sticking a knife into the boat and killing the boat. Like, literally, like, that's all they need to do. Like, there's no risks to them. They're not going to shoot them. Like, the migrants don't have anything. And the smugglers are probably going to run away if they see the French police anyway. So, I don't accept this premise that the French police can't do more. I understand the like, I don't see them under threat. When it comes to in the water, that's a different story. I understand that. I accept that premise. But when it comes to them on the beach, no, I'm sorry, I don't accept that. I don't accept that premise. I really don't. So, however, the French rescued only... Yeah, I read that. Sorry, already. So, intelligence gathered by Border Force has estimated that more than 2,000 migrants are waiting to make the journey amid forecast of a catastrophic summer of crossings. 2,000. There's got to be... That's much more. That's much more. Videos posted on TikTok show migrants celebrating as they cross the channel packed into unseaworthy dinghies. Saturday's arrivals took the number to have crossed so far this year to 14,811, the highest figure recorded for the first 5 months of the year, and 42% higher than this time last year. And the thing that really is infuriating is that they can't work. And they have to be paid by taxpayer money. They have to be paid a phone. They have to be paid a hotel. They have to be paid accommodation, all by British taxpayers, when we should be allowing them to work. If we allowed them to work, we could save so much British taxpayer money as well. Until their asylum claimers are done. Analysis by the Times used similar modelling as previous Border Forces methods to eliminate future arrivals, has a forecast of a further 35,000 and are on course to arrive by the end of the years. I heard French reporters saying our taxes are not to pay UK problems, so there's some issue with the payment, and I've heard from multiple sources. If that's true, then we should freeze the funding to the French government. We should, if that is true, mainly with payments to pay for flights for reprimand migrants trying to enter UK via the channel. The government should freeze the money. The government should freeze the money. We should not be... We are paying extortionate... Like, it is true that we are paying extortionate amount of money to the French government. Obviously, the obvious solution is safe and legal routes. But they're not prepared to go that. Okay? But we should not be paying them to deal with a problem that they're not prepared... pay for them for deal with a problem they're not going to deal with. Like, the other solution, which they're not going to agree to, is putting our own people on the beaches. Which I'm sure they're not going to agree to do that anyway. It would take the final tally for 2025 to 50,000 crossings according to a formula that has accurately predicted monthly crossings in the previous years. Border Force said it did not recognise these figures and suggested that the number would be lower. It's not illegal to enter a boat or be on a beach in France, and France is not unhappy to get rid of some visitors. Yeah, that's why we need to freeze the funding. You can tell who... It's not rocket science to know that who are getting on boats here to cross over illegally. Like, it's not that hard to... Like, with the amount of people they put on a boat, like, you can tell that they're not just going for a rodeo around the coast or whatever. You know what they're doing. Like, the French are not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. Like, I'm sorry, I have to agree with the right wing on this. Like, we should not be funding the French a single penny of our taxpayer money if they're not even going to do anything about it. Like, they know exactly what they're doing, and if they're willing to just stand there and let them buy, we should freeze funding. Freeze the funding. Like I'd rather that taxpayer money be spent elsewhere. Like, it's just a waste. Like, for me, I'm looking at it from a cost perspective as well. You're not, like, we're paying them money to deal with a problem. They're not even dealing with the problem on the beachhead, yeah? When it gets in the water, it's obviously a different matter. But on that beachhead, when they know that they're not tourists getting in a, yeah, and you've seen about 20, 30 people, and they're definitely from countries from, whether it's Asia, Africa, Middle East, you know who they are, you know where they're going, you're not stupid, and they don't want to deal with it, well, then we need to stop funding them. I'm sorry, I have to agree with the right wing on this. We need to stop funding them. We have to stop funding the French. We're wasting taxpayer money. I'm sorry. If that means increasing in migration, that's an increase in migration. But what's the point in paying them if they're not even going to deal with the problem? It's just stupid. Home Office said it did not recognise the modelling by the Times. A spokesperson added, we do not recognise these projections. The Home Office does not issue forecasts on small boats arrivals due to the unreliable nature of these products. The government has put together a serious plan to take down the criminal gangs that are driving all the small boat crossings. It's not going to work. We know about that. We know it's not going to work. Including a new cooperation agreed with the French so the police can intervene in the water as well as on shore for a new specialist dedicated all officers to patrol the French coastlines and new intelligence units in Dunkirk to hunt down these people smugglers. So what's happening here then? So why is this not happening then? Answers on a postcard, please. In addition, we are boosting international intelligence sharing under the... Because literally, there was a picture out. There was pictures out of French police sitting by while they were getting in the boat. Like, so what is this then? You only need to get some reporters on the other side to see what's going on. France offers terrain near Calais for the UK government to process the trained migrants there. Yeah, I know. We know about that, Joe. Yeah, we've mentioned it. We mentioned it before. We know the French have offered it, and the UK does not want to set up safe and legal routes for people to come to the UK. I know they should do. I've made that position clear that they should do, and it's very frustrating. I know. In addition, we are boosting international intelligence sharing under the Border Security Command. Oh my God, that fancy name. And introducing new laws to bolster our ability to identify, disrupt, and dismantle criminal gangs while strengthening our security on our borders. Chris Phelps, or Chris Twat for his preferable name, the Shadow Home Secretary, who's full of himself, said the government should suspend Britain's fishing deal with the EU until France makes good on its pledge to intervene and stop small boats. You leave the fish alone, Chris. You leave the fish alone, you. Oh, by the way, what were you doing in your time in government? Oh, that's right. Fuck all. Phillips told the Telegraph, the French are completely failing to stop these illegal immigrants, despite receiving hundreds of millions of pounds from UK taxpayers to do so. They're also failing to intercept any boats at sea and return them as the Belgians do. It's time for the government here to get serious about this. Sorry, I have to put a funny language because it's Chris Phelps. The 12-year fishing deal the UK government recently proposed with the EU, which is itself outrageous. They should be immediately suspended until the French actually stop all these illegal immigrants, including using interceptions at sea. And if they won't, the fishing deal should be cancelled. Okay, Chris. Sure. Sure, Chris. John Henley, the Defence Secretary, branded the scenes on Saturday shocking and showed Britain had lost control of its borders. I hate... We are an island surrounded by water. We haven't lost control of our borders here. I hate this. It's not working. I agree with you to say to freeze the money. And use it in another way. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Joe also says, as far as I know, payment was promised and it did not arrive, but this is what I have in French news. Okay. Well, thanks for that input either way, Joe. John Henley told Radio Times the Royal Navy is part of the defence, defending the country, not policing the borders. They have the equipment to do that job and not a border force job. They'll back it up with intelligence, with surveillance, with communications, with operational control, and they're willing to play a part, and we've got a special contribution to play. But the first job of Defence Force is to keep the country safe, and that's my job as Defence Secretary. Yep, absolutely. Look, when they're out in sea, their lives are at risk, and we need to be careful with them. Like, people have already died in the channel, okay? People's lives have been lost already in the channel, and we don't want to see any lives lost, okay? Let's be absolutely clear here. The French could argue that these visitors are only in France because they want to go to England. That's why they should bother. Yeah, you Brits have been everywhere, and now we want to visit you. Again, like just take the money away from them. Stop paying the French. Just stop paying the French. I mean, I like how, like, here, in all seriousness, like, in all this, like, what the hell are Reform going to do? Like, what are Reform UK going to do? Like, they talk about they're going to do it, but they can't actually do it without going to war with France. Because the French would just say no. Like, what are they actually going to do? Illegally dump them on French shores? They get intercepted by French boats then. So what are you going to do? You're going to have massive standoffs with the French in the English Channel? Is that what it's going to turn to if Nigel Farage is our Prime Minister? Like there's no, you can't send them back. They keep, like, you keep hearing the language from Reform keep saying about sending it back when they can't actually do that. They don't have any legal authority to do so. Nigel Farage hit back, arguing that the strategy of deploying Navy boats to pick up and return migrant boats was effective in Australia when Toby Abbott, the Prime Minister at the time, instructed the authorities to turn back boats. Australia is a very different situation to us. It's not the same comparison. Like, do a bit of geography, mate. Come on. The Reform UK leader said, I would have thought protecting our borders is the primary task of the Royal Navy. That's not the job of the Royal Navy, then I don't know why it's the Defence Secretary. Well, Nigel, unfortunately for you, if only you did, the Royal Navy's job is for the Royal Navy is to protect our borders. It's not to protect us from innocent, starving, hungry people who want to come to the UK and work and prosper in the UK. It's not people coming on with AK-47s, with balaclavas and whatnot, coming to terrorise people. Like, I'm just putting that out there. The idea that the Royal Navy isn't there to defend the borders is ridiculous if it absolutely comes to it when we get the Royal Navy to do what Tony Abbott did when he towed boats back to Indonesia. The whole world went mad but it soon stopped the boats. Okay, Nigel. Sure you're done. Sure, mate, sure. The French have intercepted just 38% of boats this year, down from 45% last year and 47% in 2023. It is the lowest rate since small boats began ferrying migrants to the UK on a regular basis in 2018, and has come despite a 3-year £418 million deal struck with France to help intercept migrants in 2023. Cancel the deal. Literally say, well, we're going to literally say cancel the deal. Like, you're not going to fulfill it, just cancel the deal. Henley said it was a really big problem that the French authorities weren't able to intervene to intercept the boats 3 months on from agreeing to amend its laws. Now, it's also I also want to point out as well. I think this is also something that we haven't mentioned either here or in the comments with regards to this issue as well. Is obviously the laws, and obviously to be able to amend the laws that they need to get approval from the French Parliament, and obviously. That's not easy, right? French Congress or Parliament, whichever of the two. That's not kind of easy considering how chaotic French politics is right now. You know, Macron's party doesn't actually have a lot of power, really. So it's all well and good the French government agreeing to it, but actually getting them to implement the laws and implement a law that benefits us, that's a different matter. So yeah, that's also another thing we need to take in consideration. Calling on the French foreign through on their pledge, Henley told Sky News, they're not doing it, but it's the first time we've got the level of cooperation needed. We've got the agreement that they will change the way they work. The concentration now is to push them to get into that operation. So they can intercept these smugglers and stop these people in the boats, not just on the shores. That'll be a part, I hope, dealing with the absolute intolerable problem. The Defence Secretary said Britain had lost control of its borders over the last 5 years. Again, RC giving his reaction to the mobile crossing on Saturday, said pretty shocking we've seen saw smugglers launched elsewhere, coming up like a taxi to pick them up. Photo emerged of more than half a dozen French police officers standing by as they watched migrants enter the waters to clanker onto the boats. One officer was seen taking photos of the scene on the beach at Graveless near Dunkirk. Local mayors in the region have highlighted the dangers for police on the beaches. Mark Supres, the mayor of Angelion, west of Calais, said that 2 officers have been taken to the hospital after being pelted by stones by migrants. Do you have any photo evidence for this? So... We're paying them. Again, cancel the deal. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we're paying them. Bruno Retailleau, the French Interior Minister, was silent on the Daily Record. Higher migrant crossings. Instead, he posted on social media about something, blah, 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 football. Pelted with stones. That's really infuriating. So there's their excuse for not touching them. There's their excuse. Yeah, we should just cancel the deal. That's just really infuriating. That's really, really infuriating. Actually really boils my blood as well. Like, I know, like the thing is, like they're not prepared to do the job. Then they shouldn't. They're not prepared to do the job. We just need to cancel the deal. Like, I know we all know what the solution is, and they just don't want to deal with it. It just pisses me off. It does piss me off a little bit, because I just don't want this being a debate, being a topic, you know, because it just feeds into Nigel Farage, it feeds into the right-wing media, it feeds into Reform UK, all this shit. It just feeds into them, all this shit. Like this story, like literally, this is something GB News can jump on, saying this is what migrants are doing, attacking French police officers, because that's how desperate they are to come to the UK. These illegal migrants, they'll keep running along. Like, it's just playing into their hands. It's just so infuriating. Right, let's move on, guys, to away from immigration, because it does grind my gears talking about it. This is a story I think I've covered. I don't know if I covered it in a live stream, but I probably covered it in a video before. It's an investigation by Open Democracy here. It's been revealed that the UK military has paid sexual misconduct victims $20 million over the past 10 years. Huge payouts are a sign of discrimination and misogyny in the British military, warns a former Tory defence minister. Now, first of all, obviously, this kind of thing is understandably kept under wraps. Why, Regan? Well, of course, we don't want the entire military to be seen as a bunch of sexual predators. So that's why something like this is not something that you would see on the front page of some of the standard media. But it also reminds us that there are dark things going behind closed doors that we don't always know about here. And Open Democracy, every now and then they'll have a story like this. This is worth reading into. So let me read more into this as I share my thoughts, guys. So the British military has paid out just under £20 million to victims of sexual misconduct, abuse and harassment over the past 10 years, Open Democracy can reveal. The Ministry of Defence, the MOD, has spent £11.9 million of taxpayer money compensating victims and survivors of sexual misconduct, and a further £8.4 million on their legal costs between 2014 and 2024, according to data obtained through the Freedom of Information request. Sexual misconduct may include inappropriate comments, inappropriate touching, sexual harassment, sexual assault, indecent exposure, and rape. In some cases, compensation will have been awarded at employment tribunals that ran alongside criminal court cases. Responding to our findings, former Conservative MOD Minister Sarah Aberdeen warned that a culture of discrimination and misogyny within the armed forces is to blame for the payouts. The 19.9 million spanned 181 complaints, and there were a further 50 cases where no compensation was awarded. On average, each case cost the MOD £86,500 plus its own legal cost. The British Army and Royal Air Force each spent £4.3 million on compensation, as well as £3.8 million and £2 million on legal costs, respectively. The Royal Navy paid out £2.9 million in compensation and £2.6 million on legal costs. Yeah, this needs to be dealt with. Aberdeen, who was a parliamentary under Secretary of State for Defence People, Veterans and Service Families until October 2022, described the sums as a stark indicator of deep-rooted cultural and structural failings. Calling for reform, she said, if the military generally tackled discrimination and misogyny within its ranks, this money could instead be invested in building a safer, more inclusive and productive workforce, boosting both recruitment and retention. Well, that explains a lot. That explains another reason why people aren't staying on as well. As one of the UK's largest employers and public bodies bound by the Equalities Act, the armed forces should be settling the standards for employee protection. Responding to Open Democracy's findings, an MOD spokesperson said, "Unacceptable and criminal behaviour has absolutely no place in our armed forces. That is why this government is creating a new tri-service complaints team to take the most serious complaints out of the chain of single command for the first time, and has launched a new central task force of violence against women and girls to give this issue the attention it deserves. We are also establishing an independent armed forces commissioner with the power to visit defence sites unannounced and to investigate and report to Parliament any welfare matters affecting service life." Okay, well that's a pretty decent response. But it still doesn't change the fact that this has been going on for quite a while here. That doesn't change that. To have their complaints of sexual harassment heard at an employment tribunal, current military personnel face an audacious process that often leaves victims and survivors feeling silent. While the military's complaint system does not deal with criminal offences, it may be used alongside a criminal case. For example, a person in the armed forces alleging a criminal sexual assault in either the civilian or military justice system may also want to seek justice at a tribunal for a pattern of sexual harassment surrounding the attack. But before serving personnel can take their claim to a tribunal of justice, they are required to lodge a service complaint and complete a complaints process, which could include launching an appeal if necessary. During the process, complainants are not permitted to discuss their complaints with anyone, including those outside the military, leaving victims feeling gagged from the very beginning. With members of the armed forces also banned from joining a union, victim reports feel isolated and alone. That's a problem. Yeah, how are they supposed... If they can't... what are they supposed to do here if they can't even talk about it? What are they supposed to do in that situation? Victims, the majority of whom are women, feel unable to seek independent legal advice when making a service complaint because they are warned against speaking about their experience to anyone outside of the process or their chain of command. This undermines their human rights, said solicitor advocate Ahmed Al-Nahini from Bolt, Burton Kemp law firm which specialises in representing service personnel. It says, quote, "Service complaints can drag on for years and women are often left feeling crushed by their experience. They are regularly victim blamed for character assassinated. Their colleagues treat them like pariahs from the beginning. They are restricted about what they can say and who they can say it to. They can then be in the complaints process for many months or even years, by the end of which they never want to talk about what happened to them. It creates a culture of silence." Jane, not a real name, whose story was told last year, was medically discharged from the Royal Navy after reporting a senior officer for sexually assaulting her. In her service complaint, she said she wanted to make sure that no other women had to go through the same experience. The complaint led to her being severely bullied by her colleagues, whose close ranks around her left around her attacker, leaving her suicidal. Marina Hughes, the service complaint ombudsman from the Armed Forces, has used her annual report to Parliament to state that the process is neither effective, efficient nor fair every year since her office was created in 2021. Victims and survivors often report the current system is not fit for purpose. Mrs. H, who went through military complaints process after being sexually assaulted by a colleague in the RFF in August 2018. Although her assistant, known as CPLF, was acquitted by the court martials the following year, Mrs. H submitted a service complaint and subsequently took the MOD to an employment tribunal. The tribunal judge agreed that the assault was taking place during the period of employment, meaning that the RSF was liable. It was, he said, the unanimous decision of the tribunal that the claimant was sexually harassed. The respondent is liable to pay damages and compensation for the act of sexual harassment. The tribunal heard how Mrs. H was extremely critical of the RSF's handling of her case. Those interviewing her, the judge wrote, did not seem to have any experience in interviewing people, let alone experiences with dealing with cases of sexual assault. Like, come on. Like, what is this? The RSF continued and employed CPLF until he requested to leave the military in 2022. While Mrs. H was medically discharged in 2020, 4 months after the court martial concluded, she made a complaint later the same year. According to advice published by the Centre for Military Justice, these making decisions on service complaints are rarely, if ever, willing to find discrimination and have poor understanding of how to investigate and assess alleged discrimination. The Centre for Military Justice supported one member of the RFF, RAF, sorry, who was sexually harassed with her line manager. When she submitted a service complaint, he issued her a reply for workplace error she had many months before. During the RSS investigation into her complaint, she was made to report to the same line manager, including for her annual appraisal. Come on! After she had exhausted the complaint process, she went to an employment tribunal where the judge agreed that sexual harassment had occurred. She was awarded an undisclosed amount of compensation, but ultimately decided to leave the force. Despite the millions spent on compensation, experts warned that the majority of victim survivors of military sexual trauma remain unrecognised. Yeah, not surprised. Justice for survivors is, in my experience, non-existent, said Tony Wright, a registered social worker, veteran and founder of the charities Forward Assist and Salute Her. More often than not, the trauma is buried beneath a systematic denial, victim blaming and medical discharge. The sad reality is most survivors never receive justice, appropriate care or support, and neither do they receive financial compensation for the violence trauma they experience during or after their military service. This is so infuriating. Saying your chat keeps freezing, is it? Hold on a second. It seems to be running on my end here. Might be from you, Loopskin. There. It can still happen, but it's much rarer. In Portugal, they place women in command positions in the police and some army branches to keep an equal view on the matter. It works, especially in the urban police forces, the PSB, where issues like the Met of London exist for some 20 or 30 years. It can still happen, but it's much rarer. Yeah. But this is systematic within the British Armed Forces, and they're very much silent on this. And Open Democracy have been doing quite a bit on this for a while. I'm pretty sure I covered it in a video on this as well. And the thing is, this is the. I hate saying this, guys. I really hate saying this because it does piss me off saying this. But I'm not surprised again. Why am I not surprised by this? Like, why am I not surprised by this? I really like. Why am I not surprised by this? It's just really infuriates me. Like, why is it so hard for so many people in society to accept? Why can we not just accept women equally? Like, why is it so hard for some sections of society? Like, especially here in the UK, why is it so hard for some people to accept that? Like, why are we not punching down on this in the military? Why are we not punching down on this more in the police? Like, why are we not saying to people, look, what is the problem here? Why can't we just treat everyone as equal? Why is it so hard for people to accept that? Why do people have to keep living in the goddamn past? I just don't get it. Like, I'm just so sick and fucking tired of this. Like, these people in the army who are going, 20, 30, 50 bloody years, and they still have the same mindset that women can't do the same job as men. Well, I'm sorry, Grandpa. Things have moved on from 50 years, you know. Having boys or girls clubs is not good for anyone. Like, I just want them given a fair shot at running out of their time in the military. I just want them given a fair shot. And if men touch them and whatnot and all these things, they should face the full wrath of the law like anybody else. But because it's in the military, it's treated indifferently. Like, they're all looking out for each other, the guys. And this is a problem. And I'm sure we're not the only military in the world that has this issue. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens in the US. But still, I just wish more was done about this. It does piss me off. You know, because shit like this, when I see shit like this, like, if it, like, how does this encourage more people into the military exactly? How does stories like this encourage? Like, if I put this to young women or young women or young girls, right, who generally want to join the army, right, or young mothers out there, like, how would that make them feel? Like, that would just put them off. Like, just saying no, just don't want it. Good evening, Stephen Bank. I hope you're doing well. No, of course, it's not a UK problem. I did say it's not just a UK problem. No, of course not. But it's a culture thing. It's a culture thing. Is the term I'm looking for. This is the problem in military. It's a culture problem. And obviously in the US, they've rolled back LGBTQ plus rights when it comes to the military. Like any transgender military officers are basically kicked out of the US now as well. So, yeah. Right, so one last story for you guys. This one is from Barline Times, and we have one finding video to see ourselves out here. So Reform-led Kent Council Swathes a meeting to make claims that they don't know what they're doing. Nigel Farage's party accusing him of running a decision-free administration after being forced to scrap a third of its upcoming scheduled meetings. Oh dear! Don't they know what they're doing? Don't they know how to run a council? Isn't that why they took up the job? You know, it's quite extraordinary. Some of them have actually, some of the reform councillors I've seen, and councils and councillors that I've seen, some of them have actually gone against like Nigel Farage's actual policies in order just to go in line with the rest of councils, with the rest of the parties that they cooperate with, just to stay in their post. And then some have just gone AWOL. Some of them have just gone completely AWOL. It's just crazy. Maybe the British Navy would benefit by having some French police officers. Maybe Simon. I don't know. But yeah, this kind of story here reinforces just how this is just how they cannot do their jobs, right? But the problem is that you don't hear this in the British tabloids. You don't hear this from. How much of this do you hear from the British media? Like you hear this on social media. You hear this from YouTubers. But how often of this do you hear from mainstream media? On LBC, on Sky News or BBC, how many stories do they have about these reform councillors not being able to do their jobs properly? How much of that do you hear? You don't. No worries, Leapskin. Thanks for popping in. Much appreciated. So, our flagship council, one last month by Nigel Farage Reform UK, has cancelled a third of its upcoming council meetings, and it claims the new administration has no idea how to run a local authority. Why don't you pick up the phone and speak to some other councils about how to do your job? My first thought on this, right? You call and speak to other councils, experienced councils. You have you've got internet. You've got the internet. Like you're not that even like someone like me. Okay, I'm a novice. I would have no idea how to run as a councillor or a council or run local authority. But you know what what I would do? Yeah, is I would call councils neighbours to me, and it doesn't matter what political party they are. I would call them and speak to them. Like, can you give me and ask for some, if you can ask for a bit of a rundown on how to do things, or pay somebody or get somebody to come and get some experience, speak to some experienced people on how to do some of this stuff, and not just cancel a bunch of meetings and it's just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what kind of message does that send? Like, this sends all the wrong messages. As of May, Kent County Council is now run by Reform UK. I'm in Kent, guys. It's now run by Reform UK, one of 12 in England, led by the party. I may be in London, but I'm in County Kent, just very much on the skirts of it. Since the election, a swathe of crucial council meetings have been either scrapped or postponed as the new administration tries to work out what it's doing, with 7 out of 20 meetings this month put on hold. Opposition Labour councillor Alistair Brady told Byline Times the administration are not ready yet. At the moment, there are indication meetings and the experienced councillors are getting on with casework, but there's a decision-free zone with the KCC at the moment. They don't know what they're doing. So this is the list of meetings and months, including 7 of which have been cancelled or postponed, apparently. So apparently all these have been cancelled, Cancelled. Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Postponed. Health and Medway Crime and Penalty. Planned Application Committee. Oh, that's not gonna have a government not gonna be happy about that. Regulation Committee been cancelled. Members Development Subcommittee has been cancelled. Government and Audit Committee. Personal Committee has been cancelled. Is this part of their Doge, by the way, cancelling these? Is this part of their Doge here, guys? They include gatherings of illegally required committees such as governance and audit committees, which are essential to setting a budget and keeping finances in check. One possible reason for the delay is enchanted criminal records. DBS checks should be landing on council's doorstep shortly. Every councillor needs an enhanced DBS check since the councillors deal with vulnerable adults and children in casework. Meanwhile, the administration has put an extra cabinet member in place, supposedly to find efficient, dubbed Doge, Department of Local Government Efficiency after Elon Musk's Doge in the US. The latter failed to find anywhere near the savings of Tesla's boss after Trump advisor promised. The new cabinet member means the council is paying an additional special responsibility allowance worth nearly £37,000 on top of their £17,123 allowance. They're actually costing more money, Bradley said. What? Why are you paying so? Oh my God, what a complete total fucking waste of money. Oh my days. These guys are idiots. They're trying to justify it by saying council's allowance will be reduced by 5%. But they can't actually do that because they have to go to the independent remuneration panel with that recommendation. They can't make that decision unilaterally, so at the moment they've increased spending on cabinet members, not decreased it. The person who's supposed to make things more effective is actually making it cost more. The new leader's X account has also been suspended, apparently for violation of X rules. In 2019, Lincoln Cameron, then a Conservative election candidate for Bradford, despite living in Kent, allegedly retweeted a post saying that Muslims have a nasty culture. Creme is a former BBC News reporter. It is not clear if Cameron's account was suspended for this reason. Killer Bradley has asked for the new Reform administration if they will reverse any of the Conservative cuts of the past decade. They said it wasn't in their remit to do that. Most of them were ex-Tories. They were members of the Tory party until recently. They just changed their party label, he said. Kent County Council and the Reform Council leader have been contacted for comment. A spokesperson for Kent County Council said they have asked Byline Times questions of the new administration, but have appeared to have not heard back. Update: this piece initially stated that Reform UK controls councils. The correct figure is 12 according to Open Council data. Oh dear. My bin's going to get picked up. Well, at the moment, they're getting picked up at the moment. Yeah, I'm very concerned. I mean, we're closer, obviously, because of where I am, I'm right next to London. So I don't think we're going to be affected too much. But those right out on the rural areas, yeah, I'm very worried about them. I'm very worried about, you know, basic things getting run now. And we should be concerned about them. I'm very concerned about people's well-beings, especially the vulnerable people. You know, I'm very, very concerned about this. It just sounds like they don't know what they're doing and they've just switched over. I mean, some of them said they're ex-conservatives, so some of them have been councillors there. So if some of them have been former conservative councillors and they've switched over to Reform, then surely they should know what they're doing. But apparently they don't know what they're doing, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm very, very worried, guys. I really, really am. Doge, dumb ogres like to grift and evade responsibility. Excuse me. Yes, that definitely sounds like it is. Ogun's beard, REGANELITE. You're in the mouth of a Fentier. I don't get that reference. I don't get that. Odin's beard. Is that Odin Lord of the Rings? Sorry, I'm losing my mind. Kent, what are you thinking for effect's sake? I did not vote for them. I actually didn't get to vote at the local elections in my area, by the way, just for reference. It was Bulge, Pincher would... if it was Bulge, Pincher would appear. Well, I would say, if you have Twitter, guys, do follow Reform UK Exposed. It is a very good Twitter account that's very good at exposing Reform UK on almost every level. It's really, really good at finding this stuff, and I might even cover a couple of stuff on Thursday. So just before we go to the funny video, guys, I'm just going to let you guys know quickly now. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have Good Morning with REGANELITE. So if you can join me at 8 AM for the Good Morning Show, you'll be welcome to join me there. Also, we'll look at the weather, look at the daily quote. Tomorrow we'll look at the world news, the world papers, world papers, the world media. We'll see what the media is saying in the world, from the likes of Al Jazeera, NBC, to Associated Press, New York Times, and more. We'll see what some of the stories outside the UK are saying there. for tomorrow's Good Morning show, so do join me for that. Also, this morning I was talking about one of the places I went to in Iceland, and I'm going to talk about another place I went to in Iceland tomorrow morning before I do that. So if you want to join me for a Good Morning show, please feel free to do so every day, every weekday, Monday to Friday this week at 8 a.m. Feel free to join me there. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'll have the Snowflake Corner covering news from across the world. Wednesday there will be Prime Minister's questions. Wednesday evening I will be doing a mental health live stream, guys. It's been a couple of months since we've done one, but we're going to be doing one this Wednesday. So if you guys want to talk about mental health, talk about anxiety, depression, stress, talk about all those things, there's plenty of that to discuss with me, and obviously it's an open place where we can just talk about these things. I'll be doing that this Wednesday. Do join me for that. As for the Snowflake Watch, that will be on Thursday night instead, so do join me for that. I have no planned Friday evening live stream. I may do one. I'm very unlikely to do one. I don't want to make a promise and not keep to it this time. So at the moment, I've not scheduled a Friday evening live stream. It would be 7 p.m. if I do one. But if I do, I'll let you guys know in advance just for live stream reference there. Right, so before we head out, let's have a listen to the world's most educated countries. And who better to tell us about the world's most educated countries than Ireland's greatest Garron, who apparently Ireland are at the top, guys. Can you believe it? So apparently they're the world's most educated country, but they still have one of the worst housing crises around. But take it away, Garron.
The fucking Irish have won again. Most educated countries. Look who dominates. I don't think the fact that we're the smartest is going to surprise anyone. That's the stereotype of the Irish person. Always fucking studying in the pub. And we might have a few refreshments, but it's mainly work. Now let's see where the UK is. Oh, number 5. I don't know if you've learned that number yet. I was always a smart cunt. I was counting to 10 before I was even a fully grown man. I'd all the numbers memorised in order and everything. If anything, we're too smart for our own fucking good. It worries me how intelligent I am. This never stops going. I do be thinking in my sleep. I woke up this morning. I was halfway through a thought. Couldn't even fucking understand it myself. I'm always inventing things as well. And then I Googled them. They've already been invented. That's how you know you're fucking onto something. I actually think we should stop being the smartest. Too much stress. We should be stupider, like the Swiss. A simple people with their little sticks and their little fires. Follow me. I'm delicious.
What's it mean by the little sticks and little fires on the Swiss? Should not be saying that about the Swiss. Hey, they invented Roger Federer. The Swiss, one of the most handsome tennis players one of the most handsome tennis players. I hear all the time about those who love their infections about tennis. The Swiss are known for so much more than that, of course. But yeah, I don't really think of the Swiss like that. But I think that's fantastic. They have a great education system. But I think, yeah, you can take that thing with a pinch of salt a little bit, because my first instinct is, I was looking at that, like, let me just scroll back a little second. So I see the list there a little second. Yeah, Finland's not even on that list. That's a problem. That should not be. That's definitely not right, because Finland should be on that list. So the fact that apparently we are higher than Finland, that's definitely wrong. That's definitely wrong. So yeah, you can tell there's something wrong with that there. So I'm not gonna be so convinced about that on there. Are you delicious too, folks? You said that, Joe, not me. Right, guys, thank you guys all so much for coming along. Thank you guys for all your comments. Thank you, Martin, for the 5 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. The first gifted memberships of the month. I really appreciate your support. So, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. If you guys want to join me for a Good Morning show, you're more than welcome to. If you can't join me for that, I'll be back in the evening at 6 p.m. for the Snowflake Corner. So if you can join me for that, feel free to do so as well. I have finished recording videos for Rumble for the week. I haven't finished. I've recorded a couple videos, 3 videos already for Patreon. One dropped already today. Another 3 one will drop tomorrow at 12 p.m. and I will finish recording the rest tomorrow. As for, I'll try and get a video out tomorrow as well, tomorrow afternoon as well for you guys. A couple of videos out as well. Just one last thing as well before we head out, because someone did ask me on Discord about it. I can't do at the moment. I'm not planning to do any more funny funny videos at the moment. The Snowflake Dum Dum series, I'm kind of just putting it on pause right now. I don't know if I'm going to bring back that series or not, because I got some mixed comments from it. Also, it costs money to subscribe to News Thump as well. So, and I paid the subscription, and what I did is I backlogged a lot of them. So, at some point I'll pay a subscription again, and then I'll do a massive backlog of them again, like 12 in a row or something like that. So I'm not planning to bring back the series at the moment, but speaking my mind and good news, will continue to keep going, guys, just for reference there. So I just wanted to let you guys know that as well. So yeah, have a great rest of your day or evening or wherever you are in the world. Thank you guys again for coming along. But just before I go, again, just want to show the gang here. Reminder: if you are a member, guys, you get custom emojis of these guys, of all the gang behind me. You have Ollie the octopus here, who he gets happy. He's actually happy today, to be fair, because he's actually happy because Martin was very nice enough to to gift memberships today. Pingu, of course, is our government minister for the Democratic Penguins Republic. Cash Dummy, the Cookie Monster here, says hello there as well as one of our members there as well. And then our newest member, who is very, very shy, doesn't talk very often, but Blaze here, the Charmander. And if anyone wonders why I call him Blaze, it's because when I used to play Pokemon Red a lot on the Game Boy, I always called him Blaze when I was younger, just because I liked it. And are you ever going to turn on the orb? Can you turn the orb back on, please? You ever going to turn the orb back on? Hey, there we go. The orb is back on. There we go. All hail the orb. All hail the orb. There we go. Lovely, lovely stuff, guys, there. So, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others can notify this live stream. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to financially support me in the if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. You can even join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.